It is now my very great pleasure to introduce and to thank him for coming, the Honourable Barrie Unsworth, former Premier of New South Wales.
Thanks, Mark. I think Mark has outlined for all our benefit the overall issue. The beeline is just part of it. The overall issue is life on the northern beaches, life in Mona Vale and the suburbs beyond there. Because the beeline, whilst it's in addition to the transport infrastructure, it's going to change a lot of things that we've become accustomed to here in Mona Vale. I know many of you travel on the L90, the L88, on the express buses in the morning and in the evening, and quite frankly, they provide us with effective transport to where we want to go. And I've had a bit of experience about it over the years. I did the bus report for the car government, and before that I was Minister for Transport. It was at the opening of the Mona Vale bus depot back in the 70s when Bob Askin was Premier. So I've watched what's happened here, the developments that have taken place on the northern beaches and the way in which we've been serviced by transport. The beeline is going to make some very significant changes to our travelling comfort and our safety. And they're the things that I want to talk about today. Last Wednesday, I arranged a deputation at Parliament House to meet the Shadow Transport spokesman, Jodie Mackay, who's the member for Strathfield, and a former journalist, a very effective member of Parliament, and we talked to her about the beeline and the issues that flow from it. At that meeting I was joined by Phil Walker, Peter Bosley and Ross Smith, and Tom Webster also attended. Tom was the member for Wakehurst. He sends his apologies today, he's not able to be here, but Tom, as the member for Wakehurst, years ago suggested to the then Labor Transport Minister Peter Cox that we have limited stop buses. If you can think back beyond the late 70s and early 80s, the bus stopped everywhere. But then they introduced the limited stop, the L90, the L88, which enables us to get up at least to Narrabeen reasonably quickly, and then all stops beyond that to either Avalon or Palm Beach. So that Tom's had experience, and he participated in the delegation we had on Wednesday. But Jodie quickly picked up on a point that I suppose a woman would be more concerned about than us men. She said getting off the bus late at night at the new bus stop in the village park is dangerous. She made the point. Those buses, I was looking at the detail, they're supposed to run until 12:30 of an evening to 12:30 a.m. And I wouldn't want to walk around near the Mona Vale Hotel at that time of night. As any of you that have been out in your cars will realise, there are congregations of youngsters hanging around the bus stops, so that Jodie said that's not the right place for the bus stop. Where the buses now stop, in Pittwater Road near Waratah Street, is well illuminated. It's covered by awnings of the buildings there, and it's a much safer place to get off the bus. So Jodie picked up on that. And I think, to her credit, we've got to think more about the location of that beeline bus stop. That's our first issue. Because if you look at what they have in mind, they want to eliminate the Waratah Street stop. They want to bring the buses around to where the taxi rank is, so the taxi rank goes, and they'll establish a bus stop there. And that'll mainly be for the kids that are coming down from the schools over on the North Shore who change buses. But once they get off the bus on that Pittwater Road, Bungan Lane area, to get on the beeline bus stop, they've got to all walk across Pittwater Road. Now, we saw a girl nearly get skittled the other day because people do tend to walk and look at their mobile devices, and that's what is likely to happen with all these kids getting off the bus and then having to go across to this new bus stop to get on a bus to go up to Newport or Avalon or Palm Beach. So there's an element associated with safety there. But last night I went down there at 6 o'clock. Now most people would be getting back from the city around about the 6 o'clock. And this time of the year, we've lost daylight saving, it's dark. You wouldn't want to get off the bus at the village park now, let alone later on in the evening. So that you've got to ask yourself, what are these planners on about? And as Mark has just pointed out, it's about the overall plan. What they want to do is to spread high-rise buildings all around Mona Vale, on either side of the village park, down there towards the bus depot along Darley Street, and even down as far as Bastick Street. They want to develop high-rise buildings. They put the argument forward that they're low-cost buildings for people that can't afford to pay the rents that are being charged around here. Well, maybe that's a good thing, but it's all part of this Mona Vale plan. Now, coming together today, we wanted to report to you on where we've been. I mean, the 20th of March was a wake-up call for me. It's when the barbed wire went up down on Barrenjoey Road, and I thought, what is going on? And of course, since then, we've seen the trees knocked over. We've got the goddess of the mound here with us today, who did a great job trying to stop them from pulling down those trees, and it was that resulted in the police arriving on site. So that, you know, we're up against brutalism here in Mona Vale in respect to the development of this B-line. It's not only just affecting us. We've been talking to people at Neutral Bay and at Cremorne and at Mossman, and there are changes that are happening there too. Those people are not happy because some people are losing their front yards, and there are houses also going. So the B-line is going to cause a lot of destruction along its route. Now, coming together today, I think what we've got to do is go back to the government and say, look, we want you to retain the Waratah Street bus stop. There's no reason why they can't. I've looked at it, I've taken photographs there. You can park 6 buses from Mona Vale Road through to Waratah Street. You've got the bus lane, you can put 6 buses end to end, and sometimes you'll see that many there. We were giving out the flyers for this meeting the other night, and there are quite a number of buses able to come, and people can get off and change buses. That is the logical thing to do. It's the safe thing to do. Their proposal to make people get off at the village park and then either go back to the stop in Pittwater Road, or just wait there and get another bus. And this is something that also is in the small print. They're going to have a strategic plan for the northern area. They haven't told us just what is going to happen when the B-line arrives. Will the L90 continue to operate from the city, or will it only start at the Mona Vale Park? Will the L88, all of the buses that we have in this region, are we going to be served by feeder buses, or are we going to still enjoy the benefit of getting on the bus at Wynyard and getting off at a stop north of the village where we want to be? I mean, the whole idea of bus transport is to take you to close to where you live. Train transport's different. You go to a station, the stations are spread far apart. But the beauty of buses is you can design a route and you can have those buses running close to your home. And that's what we've got at the present moment. So I hope that from today's meeting we have the opportunity to go back to the government and say we want the B-line bus stop, if they're going to have a B-line, back at Waratah Street. That's the first thing. The next issue is who's going to run the B-line. Now, I've got a press cutting here from a press release by the member for wherever he is, Falinski. Falinski, and I said the other day, with someone representing us like him, bring back Bronwyn. Falinski made 2 damaging statements, damaging to his own prestige. First of all, he said, he's written to Premier Berejiklian and said that the B-line should be put in private ownership. Because he said, putting the B-line with the State Transit Authority which I also chaired for a while, is like putting Dracula in charge of the blood bank, or putting the lunatics in charge of the asylum. Now, they're very offensive comments for the local Member of Parliament to be making about the bus drivers and all of the people who work for the State Transit Authority who've been serving our interests for years. As long as any of us have been alive, we've had buses to Palm Beach from Manly, and so that for the local representative to do those two things, first of all, to interfere in a state matter, as the federal member is interfering in state transport issues, and saying that the service should be run by the private sector, and then secondly, insulting all the people who are currently providing a service, I just think is deplorable. And Hillary Clinton talked about the deplorables. Well, quite frankly, as far as I'm concerned, he's one of them. So they're the issues. I spoke to the Secretary of the Bus Union, which is a part of the RBTU, and I raised this issue with him. I said, you know, you've got a problem with the local federal member. And he said, well, you know, they're hoping that when the contract is allocated, will be allocated to State Transit Authority. And we just have live in hopes in that regard. But I think we should indicate from this meeting that we reject Representative Falinski's comments, and we also tell Premier Berejiklian what our views are. Now, maybe there's someone here who wants the buses run by the private sector. They should stand up and say that. But quite frankly, I've been very satisfied with the operation of government buses for as long as I've travelled up here. And so really, Mr Chairman, that's all I'd like to say today, but I hope that from today's meeting we start a movement which continues to look after the interests of the people who live in Mona Vale, in terms of our transport, in terms of our civic enjoyment of the area, the precinct, and its future development. So I think this organisation should continue to meet, perhaps formalise itself so that when we write to politicians or representatives of government, they know who's talking. It's the people of Mona Vale. So thank you for your attendance here today, and thank you for giving me a very quiet hearing compared to some I've had over the years.